I'm gonna get you guys ready for summer frog fishing and let you guys know everything you need to know, from rods to reels to line you need to type of baits. But I would start off with the line. Everyone, if you're gonna go frog fishing, unless you're fishing like a super clear lake and there's not much moss, but you want to throw a frog, I guess you could do clear line, but I think braid is the best you could get. And I would go with like 15 pounds or higher. I think depending on what type of vegetation you're fishing, like if it's super thick moss or you're just throwing it against banks and pulling under trees or something, it just depends on what you're throwing it under. So say you're fishing heavy moss like down in Florida, all those vegetations, I would say you'd go with like 20 or more. But if you're just fishing like ponds and stuff, I think 15 would work perfect for you. And the gear ratio of reels, I would say you'd want to go with 6-to-1 or 7-to-2. You don't really need anything too fast. You just want to be able to twitch the frog or whatever type of topwater lure you're throwing. But the rod, I would say you'd either go with a medium heavy. This one's a medium heavy. I think fast. I think this would work, but I think you'd rather have a heavy bait or a heavy rod, just so you could rip fish out of the moss if you needed to, because you don't want to have to be fighting a fish, get stuck in the pads, and you lose them just because you couldn't pull them out of there because you didn't have a strong enough rod. And I think you'd be very disappointed if you lost one too. And we're gonna go over with the best colors to throw in all types of scenarios, and I would say black, green, or white would work the best, because fish, all you're really seeing is the bottom of the belly. So it really doesn't matter what type of bait you're throwing, they're just going off the bottom belly. It doesn't matter what the top color is. But I've tested with a lot of different frogs, as you can see, and they all have their own different uses. Some have different action, like you have a frog with actual little legs, and I don't personally like it the best. I'm not saying they don't work, but you have a lot of different ones. This one, I wouldn't throw it in the pads or any kind of thick moss, just because these get clogged up very easily and they won't spin after a while. You have to fix it all the time and it'd just be kind of a pain. But I think the best frogs to throw are booyahs and stuff that look like this. There's not a lot to it, so easily to get fish hooked up, nice sharp hooks. And I think orange, white, or black, maybe a green are the best colors to throw. And I would say black for sunny days, because it makes it have the bait has a bigger profile, and it helps the fish see the bait better. In like darker or clear water, it doesn't matter. It's just because the sun shoots down on it and they become to not be able to see it. But I would say baits like this, all black would work. These are my favorite, just because they're super strong, and the color's good on it. But if you start missing fish and they start short striking and you can't get them to hook up, and you see this is a super long skirt. Now what you can do, I'm not saying you should do it, because you probably spent $5 on each bait for a frog, so I don't say you shouldn't just cut it. But if you keep missing fish, say you miss like 2 or 3 fish just because they keep short striking it, you can trim the skirt and just like cut it shorter. I wouldn't cut too much, but say you want to cut a little bit more, you can just cut a little bit off, just so to see if that helps a little fish. You just don't want to take too much off, because you might cut too much off, it won't work as well. Fish may not want it anymore, and then you might just throw the frog away if it doesn't work. But I would say just cut a little bit off at a time, just so you don't cut too much off, and you want to get them close together. It doesn't have to be, but that's just my personal preference. But I would say those are the best types of frogs you should go with, just because you can easily move them through the pads and they stay floating. But it just kind of depends on what type of scenarios you're fishing and how you're trying to fish them. But hope that helps you guys catch some more fish.